not going to believe this. Just when you thought Prince Harry couldn't sink any lower, couldn't possibly find a new way to humiliate himself and embarrass the institution he was born into, he has managed to find a whole new basement. The scandal that has just broken is not just embarrassing. It is a humiliation on a national political stage. It is the story of a prince reduced to begging politicians for money, only to be slapped down without a moment's hesitation. The man who claimed he wanted independence from the royal family is now seething after the UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has flatly and publicly rejected his request for a government-backed loan to support the 2025 Wellchild Charity Awards. Let that sink in for a moment. The final door, the one to the British government and the British taxpayer, has just been slammed shut in his face. Now, I know you guys are excited for more. But before we delve into further discussion, if you haven't subscribed, come on guys, what are you waiting for? Hit like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell ASAP. So now here's what really happened, and it is even more grubby and cynical than you can imagine. Harry approached the UK government, hat in hand, asking for financial support to underwrite the Wellchild Awards. Now, on the surface, that might sound almost noble, right? But this was never, ever about the charity. This was about his travel, his 5-star accommodations, and yes, the elite-level, taxpayer-funded security package he always, always demands when he deigns to set foot on British soil. And Keir Starmer's office didn't even hesitate. They flat-out blocked the request. The government, our government, has made it crystal clear. No taxpayer money will be used to bankroll a private citizen's vanity project. Harry may still cling to his Duke title, but in the eyes of the law and the British government, he's just another private resident of California. The timing of this couldn't be worse for Harry, and it couldn't be more perfect for us, the people who have had to endure his endless whining for years. Keir Starmer has built his entire reputation on being a serious, no-nonsense prime minister. His government is laser-focused on cutting wasteful spending and restoring credibility after years of political chaos. Can you even begin to imagine the national outrage if it came out that taxpayers, people who are already struggling with their energy bills and their housing costs, discovered that their hard-earned money was being funneled into Prince Harry's lavish Montecito lifestyle? Starmer knew that approving Harry's request would have been absolute political suicide. So instead, he took the opportunity to send a loud, clear, and long overdue message to both Harry and Meghan. Your days of entitlement are over. And let's be absolutely clear about the deception at the heart of this. This was never just about the charity. Harry tied this loan request to his demand for enhanced protection for himself and Meghan during their trip. He wanted the government, the British taxpayer, to pay for the very security that he has already been denied in court. Remember, Harry lost his big dramatic lawsuit against the Home Office when he demanded that we continue to pay for his police protection after he quit his job as a senior royal. The judges made it perfectly clear, if you quit the firm, you quit the perks. This loan request, wrapped in the saintly cloak of a children's charity, was nothing more than a cynical, backdoor attempt to sneak those perks right back into his pocket. He thought we were all stupid. He thought he could pull a fast one. And Keir Starmer wasn't having any of it. This whole saga with his security is just a joke. He's now on his second stage of legal action. He's upset with the decision, and he's concerned about the transparency and the process of the organization called RAVEC, the Committee for the Protection of Royalty. He claims they weren't told he was prepared to pay for it. But this loan request proves he doesn't want to pay for it. He wants us to pay for it. And this is where it becomes catastrophic for him, because the British public is completely and utterly done with Harry's games. Polls show that 68% of Britons oppose any taxpayer funding for Harry and Meghan. That is not a small margin, you guys. That is a tidal wave of rejection. And Starmer's government knew exactly what they were doing. By saying no, they aligned themselves with the overwhelming mood of the public. By humiliating Harry, they have earned themselves serious political points. And Harry, in the process, has become a national punchline. Social media, as you can imagine, lit up instantly. Imagine having Netflix millions and still begging the government for a loan. Starmer is right. Why should we pay for Harry's security circus? If he wants independence, let him pay his own bills. The man who was once called the People's Prince has now become the Entitlement Prince, and people are not holding back their disgust. Now, don't get it twisted. Wellchild is a respected and wonderful UK charity that helps children with serious illnesses, and Harry has supported it for years. But critics are now saying that he is using Wellchild as a human shield. He is tying his own outrageous demands for luxury travel and top-tier security to the charity's good name. And instead of letting Wellchild shine, Harry has dragged it right into the mud of his own entitlement. The story is no longer about the sick children and their brave families. It's about whether or not Prince Harry should get a handout from the taxpayer. And that is not just selfish. It is catastrophic for the very cause he claims to care about. Because let's face it, this was never about charity. This is about Harry's lifestyle. When he and Meghan stormed out of royal life in 2020, they declared to the world that they wanted to be financially independent. No more royal handouts, no more burden on the taxpayer. They signed those multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix and Spotify. They bought that $14 million mansion in Montecito, and they preached to the rest of us about empowerment and making your own way. And here we are, in 2025, watching Prince Harry beg the UK government for a loan. Taxpayer money disguised as charity support. That is not independence. That is the very definition of entitlement. And critics are not letting him forget it. You can't claim independence when you're asking taxpayers to bail you out, one columnist wrote. The contradiction is staggering, and every single time Harry makes one of these demands, he proves his critics right. He doesn't want independence. He wants a blank check with no strings attached. And this public humiliation comes right on the heels of him being slapped down by GlaxoSmithKline. Remember that story? The pharmaceutical giant that refused to sponsor his private jet flight to the exact same Wellchild Awards, with their CEO Emma Walmsley reportedly saying that he was overstepping his boundaries. Now, you can add Keir Starmer's government rejection to that growing list. First, global corporations say no. Now governments say no. The pattern is crystal clear. Harry's brand is toxic, and other brands are watching this very closely. Netflix has already scaled back their deal after With Love Meghan flopped. Spotify ended their contract with one of their own executives, calling the Sussexes fucking grifters. And now even philanthropic partnerships are starting to look incredibly risky. What company in their right mind wants to tie their name to a man who can't stop being rejected at the very highest levels? This wasn't just a simple policy decision. Sources in Westminster are saying that Keir Starmer himself was personally involved in blocking Harry's request. Why? Because it was the perfect opportunity to send a message. Starmer is a master of optics. And by publicly rejecting Harry, he has positioned himself as the Prime Minister who stands up for the hard-working taxpayer, not for pampered ex-royals. It was a brilliant political power play, and it has worked perfectly. One insider quoted Starmer as saying, "The monarchy is constitutional, not financial. We don't bankroll ex-royals." And that line has reportedly been circulating in Westminster like wildfire. It is a dagger to the heart of Harry's credibility. When the most powerful politician in the United Kingdom draws that line in the sand, it is game over for Harry's fantasies of special treatment. This should have been a positive week for Harry. The Wellchild Awards are meant to highlight the bravery of children with serious illnesses and the dedication of their caregivers. But instead, the entire narrative has been completely hijacked by his own money drama. The headlines are not about the children. They are about Harry's failed attempt to squeeze the government for cash. Even Wellchild insiders are reportedly frustrated, saying that his antics are completely overshadowing the cause. One charity expert put it bluntly, when you become the story, the children stop being the story, and that's unforgivable. Harry's desperate need for perks has turned what should be a heartwarming positive event into yet another sordid episode of the Harry and Meghan entitlement show. And this isn't just a UK scandal. American and international outlets are already picking up the story. The New York Post called it a public slapdown. Australian media has dubbed Harry's request royal begging. The global takeaway is simple and brutal. Harry is no longer a respected prince. He is a man rejected by corporations, rejected by the monarchy, and now publicly rejected by the UK government itself. This isn't just a no, this is a message to the entire world. Harry has no power and no leverage left. His loan request wasn't about charity. It was about trying to force his way back into the privileges he so arrogantly walked away from 5 years ago. But Keir Starmer's rejection proves what many of us have been saying all along. Harry is just another private citizen. No special treatment, no taxpayer perks, and no royal safety net. The message is brutal, but it is clear. If Harry wants to play at being independent, he has to pay his own bills. And that is the catastrophic humiliation that he can no longer spin away. This is the moment the bubble has finally definitively burst. The world is no longer dazzled by the Sussex brand. Instead, it's laughing at the entitlement, the contradictions, and the endless, exhausting demands. This is the final chapter in the Prince Harry downfall saga. What do you guys think of this whole insane situation? Was Keir Starmer right to block his request? Let me know everything you're thinking down in the comments. Let's really get into this because it is just mind-blowing. Until next time, take care. Ta-ta, and bye for now.